Hello and welcome back to Bookworm. You think your stress is about deadlines, money, or relationships, but what if something deeper is driving it? In The Denial of Death, Ernest Becker argues that much of human behavior is shaped by one hidden force, our fear of mortality. We build identities, chase success, and defend our egos to feel significant. Stay with me, like the video, subscribe to Bookworm, and let's go deeper into the fear quietly shaping your ambition.
Welcome to The Explainer. We're always trying to distill big ideas here, and today we have a huge one. We're diving into a work that tries to explain, well, pretty much everything about why humans do what they do. So let's just start with this. Think about it for a second. Why do we do all the things we do? Why do we build these massive skyscrapers, or pour our souls into writing novels, or get married, or start companies? Why do we care so much about being remembered after we're gone? Well, according to this guy, a cultural anthropologist named Ernest Becker, the answer lies in one single, incredibly powerful, and honestly, mostly hidden force. And he lays it all out in his incredible Pulitzer Prize-winning book, The Denial of Death. So this quote right here, this is it. This is the core of everything Becker's trying to tell us. He's basically saying that the main job of being human, our biggest, most fundamental project, is this constant struggle to feel heroic and somehow to transcend death. Everything we build, everything we create, is all part of this massive, unconscious attempt to defeat our own mortality. Okay, so that's a pretty big claim, right? How does a theory like that actually work in the real world? Well, we're going to unpack it together, step by step. We'll start with what he calls the universal terror. This is the bedrock anxiety that he says drives every single one of us. Right. So it all starts with this fundamental paradox. You could almost call it a cosmic joke. It's something totally unique to being human. We are animals, for sure, but we're also something more. And that contradiction, that's where all the trouble begins. And this quote just nails it. We are these amazing, self-aware creatures. We can think about the vastness of the universe. We have a name, a sense of I. And yet, with all of that incredible awareness, we're still going to die. We're stuck in these bodies that are just going to decay. Becker puts it so bluntly. He says we are food for worms. And knowing that, really knowing that, creates this constant humming terror deep down inside us. So you have to ask, right? If that terror is always there, how do we function? How do we go to work or fall in love or even just get out of bed in the morning? Well, it's all thanks to this little psychological trick called repression. Becker says our minds are working overtime, 24/7, pushing that terror down, shoving it out of our conscious thoughts so we're not just paralyzed by dread all day long. Okay, so we're constantly pushing this fear down. But you can't just repress something that huge without building some serious walls. You need a defense mechanism, a psychological fortress, to keep that existential dread from overwhelming you. And Becker has a name for this fortress. He calls it our character armor. He says it all starts when we're kids, when you first realize how small and helpless you are in this big, scary world. So what do? You borrow power. You look at your parents, these all-powerful gods, basically, and you identify with them. You internalize their strength and their beliefs. And that process, step by step, builds your personality. It builds your armor. But here's the kicker. He says this isn't who you really are. It's what he calls a vital lie, a story we tell ourselves so we can feel safe in an unsafe world. Yeah, this is such a mind-blowing idea. Your personality, the thing you think of as you, Becker says it's not the real you. It's a shield. It's a heroic costume that you put on every single day to protect yourself from the absolute terror of your own mortality. It's a defense mechanism, first and foremost. But here's the thing. Building your own little fortress, your own character armor, isn't quite enough. To really feel significant, to feel like your life has some kind of lasting meaning, you need a bigger stage. You need to be a hero in a larger story. We all need a shared project. And that is exactly what culture is for. According to Becker, every single society throughout all of history is what he calls a hero system. Think of it like a giant symbolic game that we're all playing. It's a system designed to give all of us a way to feel heroic, a path to achieve a kind of symbolic immortality. And what's so brilliant about this idea is that you see it everywhere once you start looking. The symbols change, sure, but the underlying drive is identical. Look at this. An ancient pharaoh builds a giant pyramid to last for all eternity. A modern CEO builds a massive corporate skyscraper that'll have their name on it. Both are trying to do the exact same thing. They're both immortality projects. They are attempts to create something that will outlast their own decaying body. And the great thing about these hero systems is that they offer something for everyone. There's a whole spectrum of heroism. You've got the high heroism, the world leader, the famous artist, the spiritual guru. But then you have what Becker calls low heroism, which is just as vital. Being a great parent, a dedicated worker, a pillar of your community. Every single one of these roles gives us a way to feel like we are a unique and valuable contributor to the cosmic drama. Okay, so we've got our personal shield, our character armor, and we've got our cultural playbook for being a hero. We should be totally safe and secure from that death anxiety, right? Well, not quite. Because that terror we're trying to repress, it's just too powerful to be locked away for good. Becker uses this incredible analogy. He says to think of all our defenses, our personality, our culture, as a giant dam. And behind that dam is an entire ocean of existential dread. We spend our whole lives patching it up, reinforcing it, making sure it holds. But a dam that big, holding back that much pressure, it always leaks. So, what do these leaks actually look like in our everyday lives? Well, Becker says they look a lot like our most common psychological issues. That sudden wave of anxiety that comes out of nowhere, that's a leak. That deep depression, that's the terror seeping through the cracks. And this part is so important. That aggression we feel towards people who are different from us, who believe in different things, that's what happens when their hero system threatens ours. We attack their path to immortality to protect our own. And even something we think of as positive, like our ambition, can be one of these leaks. That nonstop drive for a promotion, for more money, for fame. Becker says that underneath it all is what he calls an ache of cosmic specialness. It's this deep, gnawing need to prove that we're not just another animal, that we matter, that we're special, and our life has a significance that will outlast our death. Wow. Okay, so if our entire reality, our personality, our culture, is all just a giant, complex system for denying death, what's the alternative? Are we just stuck living this lie? Well, Becker says no. He suggests there is another way, a more authentic path forward. And the goal isn't to get rid of the fear. I mean, that's impossible. We're mortal. The fear is real. The goal, he says, is to integrate that truth into our lives. Real heroism isn't about denying our animal nature, our creatureliness, as he calls it. It's about facing it, looking it right in the eye with open-eyed courage. Because if we just live on autopilot, if we just uncritically accept the hero rules our culture gives us, get the good job, buy the nice car, be a success, Becker calls that prison heroism. It feels safe, you get to be smug, you're an insider who knows the rules, but you're living in a cage built by your own fear. But what happens when you actually accept your mortality, when you acknowledge it consciously? Well, the desperate need for all those fear-based defensive behaviors starts to fade. It's like you can finally step outside the walls of your own character armor and ask, maybe for the first time, okay, who do I really want to be? What do I actually value, now that I'm not just desperately running away from death? And that is the profound, and let's be honest, pretty challenging question that Ernest Becker leaves us with. It's this incredible paradox. If we spend our whole lives denying death just to build a life, could it be that we have to finally face death to build a meaningful one? It's a framework that, if you let it, will change how you see the world and yourself forever.
If this book felt unsettling, that's because it touches something fundamental. The denial of death suggests that beneath achievement, status, and even conflict lies a fear of insignificance. Awareness doesn't remove mortality, but it changes how you relate to your ego and ambition. When you see the pattern, you gain perspective. If one idea challenged you, share it below. And if you value deeper philosophical psychology, like the video and subscribe to Bookworm for the next exploration.